Hey, what's happening, everybody? Thank you so much for checking out another episode of the Minor League Take. I'm your host, Brad Case, and this episode again is brought to you by More Than Baseball. Please go check them out. They do fantastic things for me and all of my teammates across the minor leagues. If you haven't already checked them out, you can find them at mtb_org. Go check out their Twitter. Go check out their Instagram. They're really making a lot of the right strides in what needs to happen next for minor league baseball, and they're great people over there. This episode is going to be with my good friend and good former college teammate, Chris Corbett. Chris was drafted by the Giants back in 2017, played for them for a couple of years, and is now a college coach. And we're going to get into all of that about the path he took to get there. And I'm excited for you guys to hear this story. It's a great one. Chris is hands down one of the greatest human beings I've ever met in my entire life. And I'm excited for you guys to see that too, because he really is one of the best. All right, enjoy. What's up, Chris Corbett? Thank you so much for coming on the show today. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. So me and Chris played in college together for 2 years. Chris is one of my best friends. He's a great guy. So, Chris, how's everything going right now at Wesleyan?
It's good. It's my first year coaching. It's been a great experience so far. Corona has definitely thrown a wrench, in things and made, the first year definitely not normal. But, if there's one thing I've learned, it's, how to adjust. And that's all baseball is, right? Is a game of adjustments and learning how to make those, as quickly as possible, right? To set yourself up for success. So, it's been a lot of fun, and obviously I miss playing, but at the same time, I've always wanted to coach. So, I feel blessed to have the opportunity, to do that, at a college close to home. And, I've really enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. That's fantastic to hear. So let's take a step back, start back where I start with everybody. We're going to start with what did high school baseball kind of look like for Chris Corbett, and how did it end up getting you to Rollins College?
So I had a unique high school baseball experience. I guess now it's not as unique. A lot more guys are taking that fifth year, that post grad year, than back in the day. But I went 3 years to a public school, Northwest Guilford, and then I had zero offers after my junior year of high school to go play college.
Seriously?
Zero offers.
Holy crap.
So I talked with my parents. I said, look, I want to play baseball in college. Will you send me to a private school? I want to reclass, and basically that just gives you an extra year, and for me, it was to develop, go after my junior year. I was 5'11", 160 pounds.
Yeah.
And so that extra year, ended up going to High Point Christian Academy. It was a 40-minute drive for me both ways. So, in the car a
Shit,
lot.
man. That's commitment right there.
My junior and senior year, my parents definitely made the commitment, with me, paying for me to go to that school.
Mm,
Uh, but I really put my head down, started working, figured out what the weight room was, and that really changed, everything for me. I grew 2 more inches, put on 30 pounds, and
Jesus, 30 pounds?
30 pounds in 2 years.
Holy crap.
So yeah, I told my parents if they, helped me do this, I would put the work in, and I did, and ended up really working out for me. Ended up with two offers, one to Rollins, one to Stetson, and ended up taking the Rollins offer because it was a little bit better financially.
Hmm.
Um, I liked the school, and it had what I wanted to study. Stetson had all those things too, but I just
Yeah,
saw
absolutely.
a greater opportunity to play right away. That was something that was big for me. In my eyes, if I was going to get drafted, I needed to get seen, right?
Hmm.
So
You had that ultimate goal even back then in high school? You were
yeah.
thinking, all right, how am I going to get in front of scouts?
Mm-hmm.
Damn,
Yep.
dude.
So even in high school, the goal was to get, to the MLB. And
Hmm.
so, that was my vision, from the beginning, right? Because if it wasn't, and if I just wanted to go play college baseball, there was no reason for me to reclass.
Yeah.
Uh, I could have just gone really, anywhere to play. But I wanted to put myself in a situation where, I could get in front of scouts, play a lot, really develop. And so that opportunity, at Rollins seemed a little bit better,
Yeah, it
uh,
made more sense.
than going to Stetson. Um, Not having an athletic scholarship at Stetson, they wanted me to be a utility guy. I knew if I wanted to get drafted, I needed to catch. So
Yeah.
the best opportunity was at Rollins for me.
Yeah, dude. Thank God you did come to Rollins because I don't know what I would have done without you.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Um,
I would. People ask me, like, would you go back and like go D1? And for me, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
yeah,
The D2 experience. The conference that we played in. We
dude,
have
they were good.
we have
They're
more guys.
filthy.
We have more guys drafted out of our D2 conference than a lot of mid-major Division I conferences. So,
Jesus.
uh,
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, a lot of people knock D2 for, they see the D2 title next to it and they're like, like, I don't know about that. Like some people get turned away. I know for me, especially like in high school, I would see D2 and be like, I'm not sure. But thank God I like got over that and even when I ended up committing to Rollins and as a, going into my senior year of high school, a lot of guys were like, oh, it's a D2. Like that doesn't mean much.
yep.
Um, sure enough, I'm sitting in the cafeteria my senior year of high school, and one of my buddies goes, "Holy crap, the Phillies just lost to Tampa."
Yeah.
You
Right.
played against that team, right?
I did. Yeah, I played against that team. I mean, they always
They're
have
just yeah.
a
Well,
team.
that's all college. That we'll get more into that in a second. But yeah, that there's no reason for kids to be turned away from D2, and it's all the reason in the world to go. So a lot of the question I ask everybody: was there ever a point in high school where? So I mean, with the reclassing, it might have been a little different, but was there ever a point in high school where you were putting up numbers? You're like, this is this is like way too easy for me right now.
Um, Kind of the turning point for me. My dad played basketball in college,
Thank
so
God, that
you
dude is so
know
tall.
he is
He's like
6'6". He played
7'2" at least.
he played at Greensboro College. Um, Quick backstory: my dad played basketball at Greensboro College. My mom was the statistician for the basketball team, and so
Oh, there we
so
go.
that's how they met. Okay, so that's a fun story I like to tell. And so up until 10th grade, I wanted to play basketball in college. But then I was on JV my 10th grade year, and I hit a double like every game. Like it was just
Yep.
something like I couldn't hit it out, because I was weak. But like every game, like I would hit a double. And so after that, I was like, man, I think I'm a lot better at baseball than I am at basketball. And at that point, I was still like 5'8", and basketball just wasn't like the future for that wasn't very bright. And
Yeah,
so that's kind of when it turned for me um, to baseball.
that's awesome. That's good to hear. Yeah, I grew up playing hockey. I never really had played basketball, thank God, because I already looked like a stork, so I didn't need to be out there. But that's awesome. So you get to Rollins. What was kind of your first impressions when you got to Rollins? This was 2014 or 15?
It was 2013. So I got there in 2013. My first season was 2014.
Yeah,
So I got there in the fall of 2013. Freshman year was kind of like a blur, you know.
heard plenty
You
of
know,
stories, Chris.
yeah. Well, not not necessarily for that, but just in the fact that I was 10 hours from home.
Yeah.
You know, we had one leader on the team, Eric Morse, who did a good job trying to reel everybody in. But he was kind of on his own. Just not a ton of leadership on the team,
Hmm.
right? Pull the young guys along. I think our last game of that year, Coach Sjogren started 8 freshmen.
Wow.
And so, it kind of showed us like the trust that he had in our class.
Hmm.
Uh, and so, it was hard, I guess, because I was in a new place, new environment. The speed of the game obviously is way faster than high school.
Yeah, it's a tick
Uh,
up.
I had a terrible freshman year, to be quite honest. I hit like 207 with one home run.
Could be worse.
And so I was over the Mendoza line, but not by much. Uh, but freshman year was definitely just learned a lot. Learned a lot of what not to do, honestly.
Which is,
And
honestly, that could be as important of what to do.
absolutely. And I think, when you look at situations like that, a lot of people view that as a bad situation, right? But if you view it like you're saying, you view those things that you learn not to do, now you know what to do, even though you weren't taught what to do.
Hmm.
You can kind of go the opposite way. And, but that's kind of when, we made those, I have a really tight, class that I came in with. We still talk all the time and, do the fantasy football thing together
That's fun.
and, keep in touch that way. And, that's where those relationships started. And so, um, we had a really strong foundation as far as just friendships and, being able to trust one another after that freshman year.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you guys have a solid group of guys, whether it's, you, Goggin, Purcell, Nicoletto, Dolan, all those guys, they're fantastic to play with. And I really miss talking to all those guys, actually. But yeah, one of the things about Rollins is anyone that knows us knows that we've talked about Rollins has struggled a little bit competitive wise.
Mhm.
What was some of the kind of the takeaways you had, from, was there any kind of bigger takeaways you had with, not with us not having an overwhelming success as a team at Rollins?
Yeah. So, it's something that, my class talks a ton about, right? Because when we came in, our freshman year, we won 3 conference games. When we left, we had won 11 conference games, um, beat, some top 25 teams in the conference that year. Lost to a couple series that we shouldn't have
Yeah.
because the guys were injured. Um, and so we felt like when from our freshman year to our senior year, we felt like we had kind of helped turn the program, around a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
At least
you
get
know,
the ball moving in the right direction.
right. And so, we had our first winning season in like 5 or 6 years. Our senior year, I think overall we were 27 and 23
Hmm.
or 26 and 24, one of those. And that was a big step for us, right? Because, we had gone from, not even winning 20 games to having an above 500 record. And so the one thing that I saw that was a little bit different by our senior year was just the way we went about things, the emphasis on how we went about our business, how you show up to practice, how do your workouts, the effort that is required. Um, and I think one thing that I kicked myself for, I think we had some really good leaders, but one thing I didn't do well was prepare the leaders after me. And so, when I left and when Pete left and when Dolan left and when Purcell left, you know, it was kind of like Goggin and then like, who was left after
Yeah.
that, right? And so we didn't do a good job, bringing up these leaders. And one I just read a book by Tony Dungy, and he always talks about, preparing people to take your place, right? And so,
Yeah.
when you're talking about leadership, that's what good leaders do is they bring leaders behind them, right? So when you leave,
Yeah.
the
They don't feel that, like, that gap.
right, there's no gap, right? This
Yeah.
person's going to step right in and it's going to be even better than when you were there, right? And
Hmm.
so that's one thing I kicked myself for is, I think I did a good job while I was there, like leading by example, but I didn't do a good job helping others understand what it takes, to be that type of person, that type of leader. And so, I, that might sound a little, I don't know, uppity, me talking about how good of a leader I was and how good
You get to say that,
but
Chris. If
no.
there's anyone on the planet that gets to say it, it's you. But no, I know what you mean. Like, not to kind of crap on any of the guys that came after you, but like even myself, like I know I wasn't a good leader when you guys left. It was a hard thing to kind of step into and find a comfortability doing it. I've talked to Travato about this a couple episodes ago. It is hard to kind of step into that spot,
Mhm.
um, and to have the foresight to think about, oh, I got to prepare the next guys for me. That's such a hard thing to do, and I don't blame you. I don't think anyone blames you at all for that, or anyone, because that's it takes such forward thinking to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. As a college player, right? As a 22-year-old, you're not really thinking too much about that, and
Yeah.
that's one thing we talk about a lot as our senior class is, dang it, like these are the things that we should have done,
Hmm.
and one thing, that we talk about a lot is, that's got to start, with the players, right? But also I think it's an obligation now that I'm in coaching. It's one thing that I want to establish as a coach. As the coach, I want to establish the culture, right? So that
Yeah.
way, when players leave, the culture doesn't change, right? The culture remains the same every single year. Players come in knowing what I expect, and that way the leaders of the team aren't creating a new culture every single
Yeah.
year.
Having a consistency throughout.
Yep, exactly. And so, that way there's no drop off when, some really good, guys who have played for 4 years, when they leave, not a big deal because the culture's still there.
Hmm.
Um, and guys are getting groomed to step into those positions.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, I kind of want to move into a topic that's it's a little more lighthearted and a little more fun to talk about. When was it like the first couple, like when did you first initially get draft interest from major league teams? Because I know for me that was a super exciting moment. The first time I even got handed a letter. When did that ball start rolling for you?
So, little known fact, uh, I had a scout come watch me in high school. Uh,
Ooh,
um, so
was it the Giants?
I, to be honest, I didn't even know who he was. He never talked to me, but he talked to my parents, and I was like, man, like this might actually like I might be doing something right.
Yeah.
And, but nothing ever came of it. Ended up going to Rollins, obviously, and then
Hmm.
my sophomore year. This is a big part of my story. My sophomore year, I was 21 years old. I was going to be 21 years old by the draft, so I had a chance to go my
Holy shit!
sophomore year, right?
I didn't know that.
Yep. And so I go into my sophomore year thinking like, all right, this is my year. And like, this is how dumb I was. Like I just got done hitting 207 with one home run. And I'm like, yeah, this is my year to get drafted, baby.
You
Like,
don't know, man. Things can turn around quick.
and so I was all hyped up. And, I attribute a lot of my success to Steve Lyon, and so, Coach Lyon, he was a
Yeah.
long time D2 coach at Grand Valley State. Has over 70% winning percentage up there. Went to 2 College World Series, 2-time National Coach of the Year. Just incredible,
Hmm.
pedigree. And then he came down, and was our volunteer, and worked with the catcher. So I worked with him a ton, and I had this huge ego, going into the fall, and he sat me down one day and was like, "Look, like you think you're going to get drafted, but you're not even the starting catcher on this team. Like you need to focus on where you're at right now,
Yeah.
before you can even think about, going to the next level." And so, that really like it startled me, right? It made me take a step back. And that's one thing I really respect about him is he wasn't scared, to call me out on that type of stuff. And that's why we're still super close to till today. I talk to him, once a week, once every 2 weeks still. And so that really helped me focus on where my feet were. Um, you know, and so I stopped worrying about that, started getting better, had a better sophomore year. And then after my junior year or during my junior year, was really when I started getting a little bit of interest, which was really cool. Got a
It's
few letters.
exciting. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Got a few letters after pro day. And once I got that, I had that relationship with Coach Lyon, I'd
Uh-huh.
take it to him, like, what do I do? And he's like, this is awesome. Like, enjoy it, because now we were at that point to where, okay, yeah, this is a possibility, but like, you still need to take care of business here. And
Yeah, you still got
so,
to keep going. It's
uh,
not just because you got a letter doesn't mean you got drafted.
right. And so, he kept me kind of steady. Coach Sjogren helped out with that as well. But we started that open line of communication to where it was less about me. It was more about me focusing on the team. And then like, this is just the product me getting drafted is just the product of me being a good leader and helping our team win.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I think it's fair to say that you definitely did something while you were the catcher for Rollins, because not only did you get drafted, another 7 guys went on to go play pro ball, and all of them were pitchers. You obviously had a huge impact on that if you don't realize that already. Do you ever think about that sometimes? Like, shit, like we had a lot of pitchers come out of here.
Yeah, I think one thing that I tried to do as a catcher was command the pitching staff.
Hmm.
Um, I asked a lot of you guys, we had a big conversation, your freshman year, and so just I took a lot of pride in helping pitchers develop, and helping pitchers pitch above their ability. I think that's one thing that can't be measured. Everything's moving in numbers and things like that. And 100% I agree. There are some things that you can calculate and set yourself up in a better position to win. But at the same time, those relationships, there's a reason that there are catchers that are hitting under 200 and in the big leagues,
Hmm.
right? Because they're able to command a pitching staff. They have the trust of the pitchers. They're able to get those pitchers to pitch above their ability, right? Because of either their receiving or,
Their knowledge of the game or
just
anything. Yeah.
their ability to call pitches, their ability to read swings, their ability just to get the pitchers to trust them. And
Mhm.
so, that was one thing that I tried to focus on. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun seeing you get drafted the year after me, and then Witt, and then Auerbach
Garrett,
got signed.
Auerbach, and
Um, Votto got signed to a
mhm.
indie ball deal, and so, um, it was just really cool to see, okay, like we got it started and they just kept it going, right, and continued to develop, and so, yeah, I don't know if I did a ton to make
You
that
did a
happen for you
lot. You
guys,
did a lot, man. More
but
than
uh,
you can know.
but definitely, enjoyed watching you guys develop and be able to sit back there and catch you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Actually, I can't believe I almost like forgot to bring this up. I wrote it in my notes and I kind of skimmed over it. That conversation you mentioned when I was a freshman and you were a junior is single-handedly, it's probably the most impactful conversation I've ever had in my entire life. Do you want to tell the story or should I?
Um, well, how about I'll tell it from my viewpoint and then
All
you
right.
tell
All
it
right.
from
Yeah.
your viewpoint. Who should go first, me or you?
You got it first. You got it first.
Okay. So junior year, freshman, sophomore year, obviously we were trying to turn the corner, right, and create a new culture. And we felt like, and when I say we, I'm talking about my class.
Hmm.
So, we felt like our junior year, we actually had a chance, to be pretty good, right? And because we had some upperclassmen in the lineup now, we were kind of coming into our own, but the pitching staff was really young still.
Yeah, I think I remember looking at it one time with Votto. We were averaging scoring like 7 runs a game, but we would also average giving up 8 runs a game. So we
Right.
ended up losing most games.
Exactly. So, we felt like we could really bang the ball our junior year, and we just needed some pitchers to kind of step up. And
Hmm.
so, um, I had I just, as a catcher, and as the leader of the pitching staff, I felt, like I needed to kind of talk to a few of you guys and, let you know what we needed from you. Because when I was a freshman, nobody really had that conversation with me, like, hey, look, man, you're going to start 20 games behind the plate. Like, you need to be ready.
Yeah.
Like nobody ever told me that. So I just kind of wandered and like kind of thought I was doing the right thing. But I really wasn't, right? Because I ended up hitting 200.
Yeah.
So, I kind of felt the need to just, give you some direction, right? I think that's the biggest thing leaders can do, is not tell you what to do, but just kind of like push you in the direction you need to go and let you,
Start showing the pathway and let them take over from there.
right.
Yeah.
And so just one day, I think it was after practice, I grabbed you, and I think you might have been running poles or something.
We just finished up running and Mac was yelling at us for something.
And so I just walked down there and, pulled you off to the side, and I said, look, Brad, like, we need you to be our Friday night starter and throw 90 by February of next year.
Well,
And like, I remember you looking at me like, huh?
yeah, yeah.
And I was
I
like,
remember. So I remember you asking me, you going, shit, what was it? You were like, what's your goal for this year? I was like,
"Mhm,
freaking, I don't know. I was like, make varsity because I wasn't sure. Like, I was pretty sure I was on varsity, but was it? No one ever
yeah,
told me. I didn't
right.
even know there's a JV team until I got there, and I was like, oh my god,
Mhm,
I don't want to make JV. I was like, I got to be on varsity, or I'm gonna look like kind of dumb. So I'm like, yeah, let's just make varsity. And then you're like, come on, what's a real goal you have? Like, name something specific. I was like, I don't know, be the closer. I was like, that'd be fun to be the closer. And
mhm.
you were like, no, no, absolutely not. You're like, that's not good enough. You need to shoot for the top. You need to try to be the Friday night guy and throwing 90 miles an hour. And I had only hit like 87 up to that point in my life, and I was like, I was like, this isn't
Mhm.
happening, man. I was like, I'll try, but like, I'll let's see what happens. And sure enough,
Yeah,
by the end of the year, I had hit 91 for the first time in my life, and I was the game 2 starter, and I was like, holy crap! Like, how did I
yeah,
end up in this place?
yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like what you can do for teammates is just show them how good they can be. Like when they don't realize it,
Mm-hmm.
like let them know, right? Because you had the build, you had the arm, like you just needed, a goal to reach for, right? You needed a vision, you needed a purpose to chase after.
Yeah.
And so, I'm really happy I was able to, provide that for you and help you kind of chase your dream alongside me, right? We were
Yeah,
both
we're all going for the same goals essentially.
same
Be better at baseball, beat everyone in baseball, and then continue playing until we can't.
Yeah. And so that was something I wish somebody had done for me my freshman year. So I was glad I was able to do it, for you, your freshman year.
Yeah, yeah. I still can't thank you enough for that conversation, man. Um, so kind of going forward, we go in. Do you want? Is there any more about senior year you want to talk about?
Senior year, probably my favorite year just
Yeah.
because, junior year, the draft didn't work out. Um, I didn't get drafted. It didn't work
Hmm.
out because I didn't get drafted. But
Yeah.
and so uh, went back for my senior year. I got a few calls saying, "Will you take this? Will you take this?" And to me, it wasn't enough, right? I've. This is going to be controversial, but I feel like when you get an athletic scholarship in college, I feel like that's getting paid, right? That's money that's not
Yeah.
coming out of your pocket. Okay, I know that's controversial, and people say
I know
it's
what
not,
you mean.
right?
Yeah.
But instead of, you know, $60,000 at Rollins, if you get a 50% scholarship, you're only paying 30, right? That's
Mm,
$30,000 you don't have to pay to go to that school. And so for me, what was getting offered wasn't as much as, I was going to be making at Rollins.
yeah.
Um, and, I kind of felt like we had some unfinished business, right?
You want to keep going.
And I saw some potential. We had the potential. You know, biggest scare of my life, honestly, was getting hurt my senior year. I was out for 4 weeks with that thumb injury.
I remember that. Yeah.
And when I got hurt, I was like, crap, it's over. I'm not playing baseball anymore. And but I was able to, take those 4 weeks off. Um, I really didn't want to because we were in a position to, make some noise. I ended up losing to some teams that we shouldn't have while I was out, and I was just sitting there kicking myself the whole 4 weeks. But I was able to come back and play for 4 weeks, and at the end of the season, and played really well, and showed everybody I was healthy, and ended up, you know,
Yeah.
have
And I mean, you showcased yourself in the outfield too. I remember that playing against Tampa that last series, and I remember a ton of scouts being there for those games too.
yeah.
Um, then yeah, you move forward a couple of weeks, and you get drafted by the Giants. Was it just the Giants going into that, or were there other teams kind of in the mix too?
There were a few other teams, definitely not 30, but a few other teams that were interested. Um, and it's the typical draft day story. They tell you they're going to take you, and you're like, get all excited. And then
Uh-huh.
like the round comes and they don't take you. And then so you
You're
wait
sitting
for
there
the
going,
next
"What the
round.
hell? What?"
Yep. And so like you're getting phone calls and that was the most stressful, time in my life until I proposed to my now fiance in July. And
Yeah.
so it goes proposal and then draft day, two most stressful experiences of my life. And so, got a couple calls in like 8, 9, and 10 saying they're going to take me, senior sign, they're going to save some money.
Mm-hmm.
And then didn't get taken. So I had to wait a whole nother night.
Oh man.
And then, so I'm like, well, they called me 8, 9, 10. So like, it's got to be early, it's going to be early on the third day. And so I'm sitting there around 11 and don't get taken, around 12, don't get taken, 13, don't get taken. I'm like, forget it. You know what? I'm not watching this anymore. Like I call like anybody owes me anything, right?
Yeah.
And so I just walk outside, and it's June in North Carolina, so it's like 90 something degrees outside, humid. And like I'm so stressed, I just start making a fire, like in my parents' fire pit. Like it's the middle of the day. Like, what am I doing? And so
It's
I'm making
2:30 on a Wednesday.
Yeah, and I'm making and I'm just sitting out there like I'm mad, pouting, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm putting stuff on the fire. My mom comes out the door and she's like, Christopher. I'm like, what? Just like mad at the world. She's like, you need to come in here. I'm like, why? And she's
Like you're throwing a tantrum like you're 4.
Yeah, seriously, I was acting like a child.
Yeah.
But she's like, you need to come in here. And I'm like, fine. And then as I'm walking down the hill to go inside, my phone starts ringing, and it's Jim Gabella, the scout for the Giants. And so I'm like, do you think this is why is this why I have to go inside? And so I answer, and he's like, Chris, congratulations, and I was just like, whoa. So like I ran inside, and it was on the screen because we were watching on the laptop, right? Because it wasn't on TV at that point. And so I got that phone call, and then my dad called me. And so it was just a really cool moment, right? You work so hard to get to that point. And then to get that phone call is something that it's just like all right, sweet, I did it,
It's something you're gonna remember forever.
Yeah, it's something like you work so hard to accomplish, and then you do it, and then you get to share that moment, with your family, which was really cool for me.
Yeah, man, it's a special moment. I was super stressed too, and then once it happened, I was just like, oh my god, I have so much work to start doing now.
It still bothers me that you got taken one round before me.
I wasn't gonna bring it up, but I was thinking about it.
Gosh, I remember that because I was 18th and you were 17th, and I was like, he's got that on me for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. Well, if it makes you feel better, Garrett got picked 2 rounds ahead of me by the same team, so so he's beaten me. He's beaten both of us, which I couldn't be more proud of him for.
Yep.
But yeah, dude, I remember like you got drafted, and I think I shot you a text to say congrats, and I was like, I definitely want to call him, so I waited like I think a week or something like that, and I call you, and you're like, hold on one second. You're like, sorry, Madison Bumgarner's on the treadmill right next to me, or something like that.
Yeah.
Weren't you working out like right next to him or something?
Yeah. So that was when he
was hurt that year or something. Was that the year he got hurt from the motorbike?
That was his dirt bike or 4-wheeler accident year. And so, he was in Arizona when I first got drafted and reported. And he's a North Carolina guy too. And what's funny is his dad umpired my summer league games.
Shit.
Freshman and sophomore year of college. So, I went up to him. I said, what's up, Bum? Your dad used to like umpire my games. He's like, oh, no way. And that he's got a hillbilly accent.
Yeah, he is super Southern.
And so he was like, that's really cool. I said, tell him I said hello. And he's like, okay. And he's like, I'm sure he was like,
he's like, I'm not telling him that. Yeah.
I'm not telling my dad that. So
that's funny.
But yeah, that was one cool thing. It was different with the Giants just because our minor league spring training and big league spring training were separate, right? So we didn't see the big leaguers a ton.
Oh, really? Okay. That's how ours is too. Oh, excuse me. That's how ours is too, except like guys would come over occasionally. Like I've seen Polanco take a million at bats with us because he's been hurt
Hmm.
a couple times. So that's about it though for guys I see. But yeah, so dude, you go through your first season, um, you hit 333 and 150 and through two leagues. What was kind of some of your first like takeaways? Like you started in the AZL, which is I
Hmm.
don't know too much about. It's basically just the GCL, but at night, which is a little better.
Yeah, well, the AZL is brutal because you're taking BP at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Arizona in June and July. And so if you know anything about Arizona in June and July, it's like literally
It's a little
120
hot.
degrees.
Yeah.
Um, People say it's a dry heat. Does not matter. 120 degrees is hot.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, the biggest thing for me that I really never really got adjusted to was the inconsistency of at bats,
Hmm.
right? So, you go from college to getting, 200 at bats.
Yeah, you were
Um,
a starting catcher. You played every game if you were able to play.
right. And so you go from playing every game to like playing every fourth day
Hmm.
and so, one thing we did my first year in Salem when I moved up to Salem was we would catch, for 6 innings and then, get pinch hit for, right? So I'd get two at bats and then not catch again for 3 days, right? And so,
Hmm.
um, that was one thing that was hard for me to adjust to. Especially like the speed of the game is now different. Guys are throwing a lot harder. Um, the catching piece I always was good with. Defensively I never really struggled, but hitting was definitely the one thing that was the toughest for me
Yeah.
to adjust to.
Especially in those rookie leagues with like they have some younger Dominican guys who throw the crap out of the ball, but they don't know where it's going at all. Like you don't
Yep.
know if it's going to be in the dirt, in your ear, down the middle. It's a total crapshoot.
Yep. That's definitely hard too.
Yeah. Yeah. So this has been already awesome, taking a lot of your time. Sorry about that. I'll try
Yep.
to get it kind of wrapped up here. But then you played another 2 years, spent a lot of time between short A and high A. And then you also broke your thumb. Was that 2019 you broke your thumb or 2018?
That was 2019. So I broke my left hand. Was catching um,
That's right. Yeah. And
Southern
someone foul
California,
tipped, right?
foul tip off this bone. I still don't know what it's called, but but yeah. So that situation really stunk. My first 2 years in pro ball, I was a backup or like the third catcher on pretty much every team I was on,
Yeah.
and so never really got consistent at bats. And so I started out my third year on the Phantom actually in San Jose. Um, Joey Bart was the starting catcher. He ended up breaking his hand. He got hit in the hand
Yep. Mitchell
uh,
Jordan hit him.
like a week before, and
Yeah.
so you know, um, I was on the Phantom, so Joey goes to AZ to heal up, and so I get the opportunity to play now, and so I'm like, yes, like finally,
Yeah.
like it's
You get your shot.
me and another guy, and like we are like going to split this, and what it's looking like is 50-50. So like I'm going to play every other night. This will be the first time I'm playing more than one game a week, and
Hmm.
so so I'm really excited. Started off hot. Playing really well. Was hitting like 250 or 275 through like a couple games, and I was like, heck yeah, like let's
You're
get it
feeling
rolling.
yourself. Yeah.
Couple
You're getting
couple
some
doubles,
momentum.
a couple doubles, getting settled in behind the plate again. And then that happens, right? I get hit in the
Yeah.
hand. Um, I actually stayed in the game because like I wanted it that bad, right? Like I knew
You kept
something.
going?
Yeah, so it happened in the seventh. Yeah, it happened in the seventh. The very next pitch uh, was a ground ball to third. The guy from third ran, so it was a tag play at home. And so I catch the ball,
Oh,
do a swipe tag, and like that's when it like really hurt. And so I looked at the umpire, I was just like, "Hey man, like, can I get a second?" He was like, "Yeah, take all the time you need." And I look at him, I'm like, "I think my hand's broken." And he's like his eyes got real wide. He was like,
oh.
"You want me to call the trainer?" And I was like that, like you can't call the trainer. And he was like, sure. I'm like, yeah. And so like I go through the rest of that game, catch the eighth, have another at bat in the ninth. Like I can't swing the bat, end up striking out.
Mm.
Um, and then after that game, I was just sitting in the clubhouse like, crap, what do I do? What do I do? And so, ended up was like, okay, maybe it's not that bad. I'll just wait till tomorrow morning and like see what it's like tomorrow morning. And it was just even more black and blue and bigger. And I was like,
Oh man.
and so I had to go get
Yeah.
an x-ray. And then, that went back to Arizona, healed up. What's funny is like I thought my baseball career was over. Well, really, God was working. That's when I met my fiance, or my now fiance. And so, that whole
Damn.
thing,
All right. I didn't even know
yeah,
that part of the story either.
yeah. And so when I went back to AZ and then rehab, met Kylie.
Yeah.
Uh, and
I mean,
so,
as much as you love baseball, I'm sure you're like not that upset about it
yeah,
looking back now.
yeah. Looking back now, it all makes sense. But definitely, it was a tough time, walking through that.
Yeah.
But then, going to go back to Salem. So this is my third year in Salem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, crap. Like, they
It's a
send me
lovely
there.
town, but you didn't want to be
They
there
send me
anymore.
there on a rehab assignment, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm thinking, all right, maybe 2 weeks at most. Get there, I don't play for a week, right? And I'm like, what the heck is this?
So what's going on? Yeah.
So I end up getting like 50 at bats there. I had the like third highest average exit velo and like top 5 on the team
Just
in
crushing
chase
the ball. Yeah.
percentage. And like I think you can look at my stats, and I think I hit like 130.
Yeah.
And like
If
I
you
mean,
have it, if I remember talking about this too. Now it's like ringing a couple like
yeah.
bells in the back of my head. Like,
And
yeah, I
so
remember
like
talking to you. You were like, I'm killing the ball. It's just right at people.
I'm smashing baseballs, and just like none of them are hits.
Yeah.
And like it got to the point where like I would hit like line out like 2-3 times a game, and like I'd line out. I lined out one time. I come back to the dugout. The whole dugout is just like laughing at me, like, Chris, like what did you do? Like why are you not like getting hits? And
Oh,
and so, that year obviously ended in Salem. Had some conversations with guys, in leadership with the Giants, like, okay, like, do I need to move on? They were like, no, come back, come back. And so, go back for, what I was thinking was going to be my fourth year, go back early, get to do some early workouts, and then play one game in spring training, and then we get sent home for the virus.
yeah.
Right? So, and so then I get home, went 1 for 1 in spring training, by the way. So finished with
Hey,
1,000 average.
1,000. That's perfect.
And I'll tell this story. This is, I think, very coincidental. But Joey Amalfitano, I apologize to him if I said that wrong, but longtime coach, legend, with the Giants and in professional baseball. After that game, in the team meeting, he looks to me, he said, what'd you do today? I said, I got a single. And he goes, 1 for 1? I said, yep, 1,000. He goes, you should retire. And I was like,
No.
And so at the time,
No.
it was hilarious, right? Because he was just making a joke, right, out of good fun. And then we get sent home, right? And a week later,
Oh.
I get the call, and I was like, man, that was some foreshadowing. I think that was God preparing me, right, for this phone call. But yeah, I got the call, and they said, we don't have an opportunity for you to get any more at bats, and we're going to release you. And I was like, well, can I say anything to like change your mind?
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, but yeah, that was kind of the end of my career.
Yeah, man. I feel so bad too. Like I know you're such a hardworking, talented guy. Like I know, like I wish you could have kept playing, man. I really do, because I remember being pissed when they drafted Joey Bart. I'm sure he's a great kid. I was pissed when they drafted Joey Bart. I was pissed when you broke your hand, and I was pissed when I heard that you got released. And because I know I know you have so much drive and so much motivation, so much love for just not only the game, but for just everyone you play with too. Like it sucks that the things worked out the way they did, but I think you're in a good place now at Wesleyan.
Yep.
trying your best to, establish the kind of cultures that you've learned about, um, you know, for lack of a better term, like you're learning from the failures of Rollins, and you're learning from your experiences in pro ball, and you're learning from, you've learned a lot about the game in general and how to be a better player. And now you're using that all at Wesleyan. I know this fall, I'm sure, was kind of a weird time, but what have you, what kind of steps have you taken so far to like try and establish all three of those?
Yeah. So, I took a few months to kind of decide what I wanted to do, right? And this opportunity popped up, and, an opportunity to coach with a former, summer collegiate league teammate.
Hmm.
It just seemed like a really good opportunity. I've always wanted to coach. I feel like that's what I'm best at, right? And I love seeing guys develop and get the most out of their talent. So, coaching, is a perfect place for that. As far as developing culture, I think we did a lot of good things, at Rollins. We also did a lot of things that weren't so great.
Hmm.
And so it's just learning from that, learning from people who do it, right? Talking to Coach Lyon a ton. Our head coach here is a longtime high school coach, over 30 years in baseball overall, and learning from him,
Shit, yeah.
has been
A lot of
great.
experience there.
And so, just trying to take in as much information as I can, and then use the information that I have to help our players get better.
Yeah.
Use my experience, in high school, college, pro ball, use that experience in a way to shorten lessen the learning curve, for these guys, right?
Yeah. Have them catch up quicker. Yeah.
Don't let them make the mistakes, I made, help them to learn from my experience. And so developing that culture, the things we focus on is more process oriented rather than results, right? So we focus on the way we go about things, right? Our three, we call it the Bishop standard, is be on time, give 100% effort, and have a growth mindset.
Those are pretty good standards. Let's go by right there.
And so those three things are what I focus on a lot with our guys. If we can be really good at those three things, we're setting ourselves up for success no matter what we're doing, right? Because in college, as a college coach, you also have an obligation, or I think I have an obligation to set guys up, and prepare them for not just baseball, right, but their future after baseball,
Yeah.
right? And so, when you look at being on time, everybody loves someone who's on time, right?
Hmm.
If you're giving 100% effort, you're giving everything you've got, and I see that as a person that can be trusted, right? They're going to give me everything they've got, no matter the circumstance. And then having a growth mindset is going to allow you to adapt, to any situation that you're in. Right?
Yeah.
It's going to allow you to learn, allow you to grow. So if we can be really good at those three things, we're going to be, really good, at baseball, and then whatever comes next.
Yeah, dude. Damn, that's fantastic. It sounds like you guys got a really good program set up there, and I'm excited to see what you guys do going forward. So two kind of last questions before I wrap this up here. First one, when is Wesleyan winning a College World Series?
I'm going to say 2023. We'll be in a spot where we can make a run at a regional.
2023. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, I better hear about it then. All right.
You got it.
I want tickets.
got
And then last question I like to ask everybody. If you can go back in time, talk to 16-year-old Chris Corbett, what kind of advice would you give him so he can best move forward?
Oh,
You take your time.
Shoot, that's a tough one. Man, that's tough. Because, honestly, I don't have a ton of, regrets, as
That's
far
good. That's good.
as the way
I was going to
that,
say, as far as I've known you, you have always been very, religious centered guy. Like you dragged me into, I remember freshman year too. This is actually another funny story. I definitely have to put in. Freshman year, you come up to me and you're this junior who's like one of the leaders of the team. This kid is going to get drafted. You're Chris Corbett. You're so cool. You look like Jesus. And I'm like, you walk up to me like, oh shit. I'm like, Chris is going to talk to me. And you go, hey, Brad, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, holy crap, he wants to hang out. I'm like, Nothing, man. What are you up to? He goes, oh, I'm going to Bible study. You're coming with me. I was like, what? I was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Sure enough, before I knew it, I was going to Bible study twice a week, and I was going to church on Sundays. And I told my parents this, and they were like, you're doing what? I go, no, you're not. You're lying.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm serious.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome. Yeah, so, I guess we can go based off that. What I would tell 16-year-old me was to just continue to focus on like the relationships um, that you build, right? And continue to help others, continue to grow and not only baseball, right, but their personal life and try to be a resource for everybody around you.
yeah,
You know, uplift your teammates, and just, do your best to create a culture that is going to allow sustained success and allow people to come in and feel comfortable and turn into the best version, of themselves.
yeah,
Uh, and if you can do that and develop those relationships, that's going to mean a lot more, right, than a 300 batting average
hmm
or hitting a lot of home runs. And just to focus on the people,
yeah.
uh,
There's
and
a yeah. Um, yeah, actually, all right. I'll end this after I say these two quick things. Something I would like if I have to give a little speech to like kids or something. I'm like, make sure you're a good teammate because there's a guy named Ty Cobb. He was amazing at baseball. Was the all times hit leader for a long, long time. Now he's in second, which is still like 4,000 hits.
Mhm.
He had no friends. Everyone hated him. He was a terrible guy. So, I mean, in the long run, yeah, it's great. He has a lot of hits, but he had no friends at the end of his life. And there's a
Yeah.
reason for that. But then also last year, in 2019, Jesus, 2 years ago now, every day I went to the ballpark, I told myself it's about everybody else besides you. If you make
Mhm.
it about the fans, your coaches, your teammates, the grounds crew, the bat boy, if you make it about everybody but you, you're going to have a way better time at the field and you're going to just be doing everybody a huge service.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite quote from Coach Sjogren: nobody's going to remember your batting average or how many home runs you hit or how many people you threw out. They're going to remember how you treated them.
Yeah.
So, that's one thing that I always tried to keep in the forefront, of my mind.
hmm Thank you for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, Brad. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. See it.
See you, man.
What's up, guys? I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, Chris is one of the best dudes ever, and you all see that now because he really is a special, special guy. Next week, we have Jack Herman coming on the podcast. Me and Jack have been teammates for a long time, so it should be a good one. I'm excited for you guys to hear that. So we'll have Jack on next week. Excited for that. Don't forget also to go check out the collagen. Go check out CB supplements and use promo code BRADCASE, BRADCASE, all under lowercase. And also to go check out the book Reaching Home Plate, and that's written by Perry Quartuccio. And the promo code for that is QUESO, QUESO. Please go check out both those. I hope you guys enjoyed another episode of the Minor League Take. Please give the page a follow on Instagram and Twitter, as well as myself, Brad_Queso. I hope you guys have been enjoying the show, and we're going to keep on going. One of my New Year's resolutions this year is going to be to bring you guys 52 new episodes of the Minor League Take throughout this year. So I'm going to try my best to stay on every single week and keep on going and going. If you guys have any suggestions on what I should talk about, who I should bring on, please reach out. I love doing this stuff for you guys, and I'm really enjoying the sport so far. Go check out all the social media pages, and until then, I'll see you next week.